morning, Lebogang.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're all right. How are you?
I'm great. I'm good.
Thank you so much for deciding to join us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You are quite an inspirational person. And most of your inspiration comes from your walk of life.
Yes.
It takes a lot for a person to get to a stage like that and then take from all of those hardships inspiration.
Sure.
How did you get to a point where you decided, you know what, I'm going to take my story, I'm going to take my experiences, my circumstances and everything and use that to inspire the person next to me?
Getting to a point where I inspired people or shared my story, it was unplanned.
Mm-hmm.
It literally was a huge coincidence, you know. I was invited to Limpopo by my doctor to go speak to young kids about the virus itself, just to sort of give them what you call a lesson or a conversation around the virus itself.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought to myself, no man, I can't go stand in front of these kids and talk about my life experiences without, sharing my own story. You know, I can't stand there and tell them this is what HIV is, this is what HIV does, and so forth. But I am not telling them that I am going through this, and that is when then I decided that I was going to disclose. Mind you, it was not a very easy disclosure because I was crying. You know, I was crying, I was miserable, because I still didn't know what was happening. As much as I had gathered information and I had somewhat been able to say, okay, I'm living with HIV, and I had started the journey of accepting my status. That talk on its own was very difficult. But then from that, it then opened up more possibilities and more chances or spaces for me to talk about my story. And as time went by, I connected the dots and I realized, you know what, as bad as my life has been or had been, or all the pain that I went through it for a purpose. I went through it so that I can heal and inspire and teach through my own personal life experience.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about your journey into writing your book, right? How would you say the experience was? I hear you're talking about you accepting and everything, but deciding on putting everything down on a book. How did you come to that, and how long did it take you to actually compile the whole thing together, the whole book together, and the experience or the journey of you writing the book?
So for a very long time, people have been asking me, please write a book, please write a series, do something. And year before last, I was in hospital and I had told that I've got kidney failure. So now in my mind, when they told me that, I thought, oh, okay, this simply means that I'm dying. And I quickly found someone who could help me write a book and say, dude, I need to leave some sort of legacy if I'm going to die from this kidney disease. And we just started writing the book. It was very emotional. It was very, it triggered a lot of things that I thought I had dealt with. To date, I've only read the first chapter of my book. It's hard for me to continue because it's as if I'm sitting and I'm watching my life play, you know. But I'm glad I wrote the book. As much as it triggered a lot in my life and triggered things I had not fully dealt with, which I'm still now dealing with, I'm able to reach out to the next person, help them to either a similar journey or just help them through in terms of advice or in terms of education or parents sharing the books with their kids and so forth.
So, Lebo, ever since you started your journey as an inspirational speaker, what can you say has been your greatest joy from the work that you're doing right now? Being able to communicate with people, advise them, inspire them, and whatnot. What has been your greatest joy that, you know?
I think besides being able to share rooms with people like Naomi Campbell and your then Deputy President, who is our president now, being able to be in spaces with those people, share my story, and also be a voice or amplify young people's voices. My greatest joy is receiving a message that says, thank you, you have helped me accept my status. Thank you, you have helped me want to live. That for me is my greatest joy ever. Besides the fact that I get to travel all over the world and meet different people. But when someone that I don't know, who is a stranger to me, sends me a message, which I get every day, I get a message to say, thank you, because of you, I found myself in such a place in my life.
Sure, I wasn't ready for this. I really wasn't ready for all of this.
Wow.
But thank you so much for sharing that. What else I want to find out, in the case of somebody listening to us right now and they're struggling to deal with whatever situation that they're dealing with, how would you advise them, or rather, how would you try to motivate them?
When one is in a situation, I always try to advise them to see the solution in the situation and to see the lesson in the situation, because situations just don't happen to us because they are happening. They are there to grow, to build, and sometimes they are there to kill something that is not meant to be in our life. Sometimes it's by shifting people out of your life. Sometimes it's helping you realize your own strengths and the fact that you don't need to rely on the next person to do certain things, you know. So every situation comes with solution yayo. If we could get to a point of learning, when I'm facing this, I know I'm going to come out a bigger person, and I'm going to come out learning something different. It's difficult, yes, when you're in this situation, because you don't see a way out. You feel, you know what, I am stuck in this tunnel and there is no way that it's going to come out. But also, it doesn't matter how long the tunnel is. Eventually, a tunnel needs to end. A tunnel needs to come to an end, and that end is brightness. It might take years, days, it might take months, but as long as you are living in the situation and not dying while you are living, because some people listen to their situations and they die while they are living. And I always encourage, pray, reach out to whatever spiritual measure you believe in, whether we are pastor with your ancestors, whether you, whatever it is that works for you, to try and see, okay, this is where I'm at, why am I here, and what is it that I'm meant to learn, and how do we get ourselves out of this situation? Because trust me, and you, good and bad things are going to happen to us. The Bible even says so. It says good and bad things are going to happen, but unfortunately there is no start nor is there an end date that is stated to say it'll start on the first and end on the 30th. All we know is they are going to happen. We don't know how and when they're going to happen, but we need to always mentally prepare ourselves for it. If I'm going to come through such a situation, this is how I'm going to deal with it, or this is how I will try to deal with it.
I'm so dumbfounded. Okay, Lebo, can I quickly ask you, for a person that is listening to you right now that maybe knows their HIV status, is afraid of disclosing it to anyone, what would be your advice to them? What is it really like? How good does it do them disclosing and being, freely HIV positive? Like,
look, when we speak disclosure, we encourage people to disclose because of support purposes, right? So that you have a support structure around you. But there are people who are living with HIV and they're okay. They didn't tell anyone about it, but they're able to manage with it by themselves, which is fine. But if you feel you want to disclose, you need to ask yourself, why am I disclosing? To whom am I doing it to? What answer am I expecting, and I need to prepare myself for whatever it is the person tells me, whether it be negative or positive, you know, and also when and how. How am I going to tell the person? You can't, of course, disclose to your boyfriend about your statuses while you are driving on a weekend away. We don't know how he's going to react. He might crash the car. He might decide he's going to kick you out and stuff like that. You study these things and say, okay, I'm going to tell Umama, not while she's cooking, of course, or not while she's maybe a bit ill. You know, I'm going to tell her, and we are going to do this disclosure thing. Sometimes you can ask for your counselors to come, people at the clinic, to help you disclose to your family. But first, before you disclose, you need to always educate yourself so you know how to answer questions that they are going to have for you.
Okay, so how does one go about educating themselves?
Google. Look, Google is your biggest dictionary, but you need to know what kind of sites you look into. Department of Health, for one, is a credible site. World Health Organization, for one, is a credible site. ANOVA is a credible site. You will know when a site is credible, you know? Even with the link, you look at it and just don't read because it's a link. You need to check up how credible this link is. Above all, you can just type people living with HIV in the world. It will give you number of people that are reachable, that you can talk to and ask questions. And again, you've got the right to go to your clinics and ask questions about whatever it is that you need answers about. You know, you've got the right as a patient or even as someone who is negative but wants information. I believe in our communities we do have organizations that work with HIV and AIDS or that have some kind of pamphlets around. Also your Facebook, your social media, you can just even post the question and people will engage, even though it's going to be sometimes engagement that is very scary because people will say scary things and some will be rude and whatnot, but at the end of the day you will gather something.
Wow, okay. So I'm speechless.
She's very overwhelmed. Well, can I ask you, from your book, what is it that you are hoping to how are you hoping to impact the reader? Like, it gets to my hands. How are you hoping for it to impact me?
So there are three things that I would like a person reading the book to get out of the book. It's a hope. It doesn't mean that you have to have been through my situation, but look at put yourself in my book, in your own story, right? And then have hope to know I can defeat this. Number two is education, you know, about all socioeconomic issues, because I speak abortion, I speak rape, I speak molestation, I speak gender-based violence because I was abused. I speak a lot of things. It's not only about my HIV status. And I believe that we all somehow connected when it comes to stories. There's the education part of it, and there's the restoring hope, because I know there are people who've been through what I've been through. It could have been less or more, but they cannot move on. You know, they are unable to live life because they are now in this shell of shame. So when one reads this book, I pray that they are able to get away from the shame and blame part and be able to pick up the pieces and continue to forgive themselves if they feel that they have wronged themselves in any way, you know, and forgive whoever else, because walking around carrying anger, it's a very, very dangerous thing because it affects you more than the next person. You need to be spiritually, physically, emotionally balanced so that you are able to move on the pillar and you're able to make a positive impact around those around you. Look, there are days where you can't always be positive. Like I'm going to tell you, this week I'm having a bad week. I think even after this interview, I'm going to also go home because I'm just not myself, you know? It happens when you just can't handle certain things, but you need to know that it must happen and you must go. And you must go on with your mission not too long. It comes again, it happens, it goes. It's like when you're driving things, there are different things that distract you until you get to your destination every day when you're on the road. And I believe that is how life is. We always have things that are going to distract us, but eventually we reach our destination.
Amazing. So how do we get to purchase the book?
So for now, I'm not in stores. I sell the book. People can contact me on 071 197 2504. The number again is 071 197 2504. And please, only for WhatsApp, and can we only talk about it? Because people tend to take advantage.
Yeah.
Then I then block people, and then it seems like I'm mean and all that, and things like that. But that's strictly for the books. If you want to talk HIV or advice, then you inbox me on my Facebook page, Lebogang Brenda Motsumi, and I try to answer to everyone's questions. But most of the time, get a live video, and I believe every live video covers a lot of questions that people ask on my inbox.
Okay.
So for one last time, can you please say the number for me?
Okay, it's 071 197 2504.
Thank you so much, Sis Lebo, for agreeing to join us this morning. And I heard you mention that you are not feeling well. So just for you to take your time and speak to us, thank you so much. We appreciate you for that one.
No, thank you for having me. And I saw you guys are in my hometown. Conversation for another day, but that's okay. Because I'm from Nelspruit.
Yes.
But conversation for another day.
So yeah, we do hope that there is the conversation on the other day.
No, not a problem. Thank you anytime, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Whew, that happened. Okay. Yeah. 066057680
Yeah.
Man, if you are inspired, tell us. Send us a VN. Tell us how you are overcoming stuff as well. I mean, guys, it doesn't get better than this. My heart is heavy.
I'm lost for words. I don't know what to say going forward. But like we did mention earlier on, the fact that we bring to you the things that, you know, we feel that you need to hear, things that we feel like are going to help you in some way, you know, in your life. This is the Morning Elevation. This is a lifestyle show. We really actually do care, and we take it upon ourselves to bring to you the information that is going to help you in your life.
Oh, thank you, Lebu. Thank you so much. You know, buy
much.
condoms.
Yeah, take that in, take all of that in, and remember, maybe you want to recap on what it is we were talking about today. If you want to see the video, listening over again, go over to our YouTube channel. A bit later on, the video will be available, and you get to listen to that over again, be inspired, and also find out how you can get the book for yourself. Or you can check it out on Facebook. It's Wiggle Tunes, and then also on Twitter, Wiggle Tunes SA. It'll be available for you. I don't know what you're going through this morning, but I pray that from that you have gotten your inspiration.